Hello everybody. Today we were going to be looking at builds. I know today's supposed to be shoutcasting, but due to all the pubs and lack of possibility to find a competitive match that I could analyze well and you could learn from, it's just impossible to do 2 a week just because of how rare it is. But I have actually gotten a team together, so hopefully we'll be practicing more and getting further in the tournaments more often. So it'll be more often that we find the actual competitive teams that you will enjoy seeing. But for now, we had requests to look at builds that people send in, and so I'm going to try that today. Today's was sent in by Salix. Now he sent in his warrior builds. We're just going to look at one of them right now. We're going to look at his flat damage build. Mainly because this actually takes longer than you think. This video is pretty long. Alright, and he is going greatsword and axe shield. So he does want a bit of defense, just like a lot of warriors do. They like having the ability to stay in the fight as long as possible. But I'm not sure if shield is the right way to do it. It blocks a lot of attacks, but it really just takes you out of the fight for 5 seconds. Now in a team fight, that could be a good thing. Keeping all the focus fire on you for a few seconds while they say, oh crap, stop targeting him. That gives your team an opportunity to work on focusing someone down, getting caught up to you if you're a bit too far ahead of your team, and having the team fight work to their advantage. So it's a good idea, but warriors can also be great roamers for DPS. So this kind of takes away from that possibility just because of your only defense ability that you want to focus on doesn't really help you out all too much in a duel or a 2v2. But let's keep looking. Now, he's got the healing signet as opposed to the common one, which is mending, but it does grant regeneration. Now, this is kind of counterproductive. In a team fight, removing conditions is crucial because everyone's going to be putting them on you. So, having shield, which is good for team fights, and having the signet, which is good for dueling because it gives you regeneration, it gives you that extra edge during a fight. It just seems kind of both ways and where he should be thinking about, no, I want to focus on being able to be in team fights, or I want to be focusing on dueling. So in that situation, I think he needs to look at it again and decide which one he wants to go with. Because if he wants to be really good at dueling, I recommend hammer instead of axe shield. It does great damage. Like, you can put vulnerability or weakness on the opponent and start doing 2k crits with a hammer, and then switch to greatsword and it becomes even crazier. And with all the knockdowns, you're always going to get your big attacks off. So that really makes your opponents weak against you and really fear you. Alright, let's look at his abilities. He's got Bull Rush. Bull Rush, I personally do not like. It's not like I don't like the ability. It's a great ability. It's really strong. It gives you all the knockdowns you want. But it's become really easy to tell when it's happening. The tell for the ability is really big, and people know instantly to get out of the way. When I tried it back in the beginning, in the last few stress tests, I hit maybe 1 out of 50. Literally those stats. That thing was impossible. Just was like, a blinding light is approaching. I should dodge. Every time. I swear. Not fair. But if he can pull it off, and especially since he's going with shield, that's very important for him. In a team fight, it's probably much easier to get off because everyone's using dodge for other players that are fighting them. So if they're all being focused down, they might not have the energy to get out of the way. So either you're wasting their dodge for one of your teammates to get something done, or they've already wasted it and you're going to pound them into the ground and start unloading on them with the rest of your team. That's great. Then he's also got Endure Pain. Endure Pain, great skill. There's nothing wrong with that, especially if he's going to be in team fights. He wants to get focused down. A warrior loves to get focused down. because they can take it. They don't care. They're just going to have a lot of fun. With that shield, he's going to take it forever. So he's basically got like, let's see, 5 seconds and 3 seconds. He's got 8 seconds of invulnerability, basically. Nothing wrong with that. That makes your team fights awesome. But once again, some of the things he's switching back and forth between if he wants to be in team fights or if he wants to be roaming. So he's got to decide and make all of those abilities fit to team fights better. In that case, Bull Charge, good choice. And then he's got his finisher. This is great in team fights. Well, it's great anywhere, but in team fights it's awesome because the quickness is basically a free stomp. It's not gonna get blocked because it's 1-2 boom, they're gone, can't be revived in time, and you get to do a lot of damage to the next target or combo it together to make it like 2 seconds of burst damage and then finish them off before the quickness ends, because you only get 4 seconds, so it's really hard to practice. It's really hard to get used to that. I have 4 seconds to do all of this, go. And then he's got his amazing Signet of Rage. I'm pretty sure this is why he chose his Signet heal, because he's probably got some traits that boost Signet or like lower the cooldown, which is nice. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just in a team fight you want that condition removal. It's key to survivability, especially if you're not going to take Shake It Off. Like, Shake It Off is amazing, and if he's not going to take it, he needs the condition removal from Mending. So Signet of Rage makes him really strong. If he combines this with Frenzy, which is on the same cooldown, or it might be less that they have the traits right, it has the same cooldown, so he boosts his power and condition damage by 175. That's gonna hurt. He's gonna gain Fury, which is another bonus 20% crit chance. This is all for 30 seconds. Like, this is an elite skill for a reason. It's awesome, but it's got a low cooldown, so it can be used in every team fight, which is great. And it gives swiftness. He has mobility now, which is good, because he went axe instead of sword, so he doesn't have that leap range to get onto his target before switching to his greatsword. Alright, let's look at the traits. Now, he's going 30, 0, 25, 15, 0. Just to get that boost in power, he's going to get damage foes at the end of a dodge roll. So he can just kind of roll in and boom, like a train. Alright, 5% of power is given as bonus to vitality. That's good since he doesn't spec into vitality as much in this build. Greatsword and spear damage increased by 10%. Very common. Not sure if it's the greatest idea though. We'll see. Physical utility skills do 100% more damage and recharge 20% faster. Now, 100% more damage on Bull Charge. Not really awesome, I guess, but I guess it could make it a decent attack. But the main reason he got it is the 20% recharge, which is good. Now, in defense, he goes, got that thick skin, extra armor, full health, increases stance duration by 25%. Stance duration. Alright, so that means his quickness is now 5 seconds. That's going to help a lot in being able to burst down somebody and being able to finish them off quickly using the quickness. So that's almost a necessary thing if you're going to have that kind of trait. And then activates balance stance when you are dazed, knocked down, launched, pushed back, or stunned. Great. That's so needed in his build. So he's got some form of it. He just needs more. And then he goes 25 just to get that 5% toughness given his bonus to power. Makes sense. He's built into toughness and power with a bit of vitality. Alright. And he's got 15 in tactics, which gives 5% extra toughness per level while reviving. I guess that's a good channeling trait, so it's good. Apply a 1 second immobilize whenever you cripple a target with a skill. Now, a lot of people are confused why this is really that important. How much movement can he possibly get from being crippled for 1 second that makes that so important? And if you actually like watch someone walk around while crippled and you count 1 second, that's like 5 feet. So having that immobilize on that when you're so mobile at yourself with greatsword, I'd really rather you not take this. Just because it doesn't help. It doesn't help you chase someone down. They're still crippled. They're still not going to get away. And it's not the cripple lasts 1 second longer either. So there's no real reason for you to have this trait. Let's look at what I would rather. Let's look at some of the traits and see what I would rather pick. Let's see. Great fortitude. That's fine. Slashing power. Greatsword spear damage is increased by 10%. Now that's kind of standard just because it's 10% bonus power. Or bonus damage. That's great. Turn 2,000 to 220, or 2,200. You could also have more sustain, which is something he doesn't really have that much of right now. So he could have restorative strength, which is using a healing skill removes crippled, chill, immobilize, and weakness. So that's added condition removal, since he doesn't feel like having condition removing heal. And even if he did decide to switch to a condition removing heal, that could actually be bonus condition removal, which is amazing. If you can remove like 4 conditions at a time, that's nuts. That would be great. So there's that option. And then physical utilities skills use 100% more damage and recharge 20% faster. Well, since he's going to be in team fights a lot, he's going to want to use his bull charge as much as possible. That allows your team to focus down a target really quickly and have him being able to do nothing about it. So that's probably a good choice as a trait. Increased stance duration by 25%, necessary. If he's using quickness, he needs that duration. Activates balance stance when you are dazed. Condition removal, also very well needed. Apply a 1 second immobilize when you cripple. I don't like this. Let's see if we can find something else. 2. Empower allies. Increases damage of nearby allies by 70 points. Now, is that damage or power? I think that's supposed to be power. But look into that first before you change that, because that looks good, but it definitely, I'm not sure if it's that great if it's not worded correctly. Let's see. You do 10% extra damage while under 25% health. As a warrior, you really shouldn't be counting on being under 25% health. If you're under 25% health, you're probably losing the battle very badly. Increases longbow range, useless. Banners apply their bonuses to a larger area. You don't use banners. Increases damage for every boon on you. See, now that's another option. Let's look at what he gets. He's got regeneration all the time. He's gonna have quickness, and then when he casts Signet of Rage, he's got 5 stacks of might, fury, and swiftness. That's 5 buffs to increase your power with. That he could actually look into, because that sounds like it would really help out your damage on top of like your 10% greatsword damage. So that's actually a good option to look into instead of that leg specialist. I'm not sure how useful that is. Alright, and then let's look at the runes. Sigil of Superior Force. Plus 5 damage to his greatsword and plus 5 damage to his axe. He's got plus 5 damage to his shield. Wait, what? No. I'm sorry. Shield. Let's do something with shield that actually counts. Because what you have to realize is these sigils actually do affect the weapon they're attached to. Now, that might have been changed because I'm not sure we all knew that for a long time. But yeah, so when you're adding 5% damage, you're adding 5% damage to your shield, which doesn't make any sense. Yeah, honestly, since you're going to be switching out your weapons a lot, I'd rather see shield and maybe greatsword have sigils that focus on what happens when you switch that weapon. Sigils of like everyone used sigil of intelligence a lot and during the beta for their greatsword. It just always made your opening damage crazy. But you can have it to where you gain 3 stacks of might when you switch to greatsword, and that'll really help you use your opening abilities. Because that's 20 seconds. That's 20 seconds of 3 stacks of might. That will allow you to buff yourself up while you switch and get all of your attacks in while using your greatsword. That'll be more damage than 5% damage. Just saying. Because that's improving your power by like 50 or 75. On shield, I'd actually go with hydromancy. You're going to be getting up close to somebody when you're when you're using your shield. That means someone is right next to you. So getting hydromancy on your shield, make sure that when you switch, you're going to be invulnerable and they can't get away. You're going to wait for your cooldowns, and then you're going to bull rush and just wreck them. Or you're going to hydromancy. You're going to use hydromancy when you have multiple people on you and your team is going to go, oh, well, let's get them. They're not going anywhere for a few seconds. This just really helps in team fights, which we're trying to do, and that sigil is being wasted. So look at that, and that'll really help you boost your damage, or boost your utility and your usefulness during a team fight. Alright, let's look at his runes. Runes of the Dalyak. So he's trying to get buffed up. He's trying to make sure that he has enough toughness and enough vitality. Nothing wrong with that, because what's that 6th thing? More regeneration. Awesome. He's going to be restoring health all the time really well during his fights. So that'll be really good. Just because that'll also make sure he has health regeneration while his healing skill is on cooldown. So there's nothing wrong with that. Great choice. There are many other choices, of course, but this was not a bad choice at all. And, of course, Soldier's Amulet, usual. Now, Cleric's Jewel. I'm not sure why he chose this. Adding 125 healing power at this point makes no real sense. You don't have anything based in healing. You don't have anything that's healing your team. You don't really need that extra 125 healing power. That's just not going to help you out that much. If I were you, I'd rather just finish out that Soldier's Amulet with the Soldier's Jewel and boost your power just a bit more. And make sure, and even give you more vitality, since you're missing some of that too. Nothing wrong with more health, more toughness, and more power. You're a warrior. It's what you do. Alright, and that's going to about do it for today. I think this was a really good look at how people are making good decisions on what their builds are supposed to be, but sometimes they get confused on what roles they want to play as. Like in this case, he was a little bit mixed on if he wanted to be in team fights or if he wanted to be helpful somewhere else in them. But as we got further and further, we saw he wanted to be more in team fights, but he needs to be 100% one or the other. This isn't one of the cases where you're built to do both, because dueling is going to be very competitive, very hard, very tough, and you don't want to be mixed and matched like that to where you don't have something that you really need, like more condition removal or an ability that can easily be dodged, because they'll see it coming if you're the only enemy fighting them. So that's something to think about when you're making your builds. First thing you need to ask yourself is, what do I want to do? Do damage, that's great. Do damage where? Do damage with people? And how are you going to accomplish that? And then how are you going to live? That's some things to think about, especially with Warrior, because he has so many options. He's got to think about sustain. He's got to think about healing his teammate. Does he want to heal his teammates? Does he want to use banners? Does he want to use shouts? Is he going to be a duelist? Does he want to use ranged? Just to make sure he is always attacking the target. Just as you focus more on your build, you want to start vague. What do you want to do? How do you want to do it? And then get more and more specific to make sure that you are ready for your role. All in all, this is a great build. He's got weaknesses that he covers, like low crit chance. No, he's got like 50-60% crit chance when he uses his abilities. So he becomes what he wants it to be. He just needs to focus on who he wants to be with. Does he want to be by himself, or does he want to be with his teammates, kind of defending the point at the same time? Nothing wrong with that. He just needs to decide that and then continue working on it. Alright, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to click the like and subscribe buttons below, and I will see you next time.